We're here in Kharkiv. It's a Russian-speaking city in eastern Ukraine, but it's fully under the control of the Ukrainian authorities. And earlier today, a train bearing the remains of the victims of Flight 17, which crashed last week, was sent here. And now Dutch forensic experts are collecting the remains of the bodies for transportation to Holland tomorrow. This pro-Ukraine protest is here in order to call attention to what many people in Ukraine believe was a Russian crime of terrorism against the passengers on Malaysian Flight 17. It hasn't been established with 100% certainty yet who pushed the button, where the weapon came from, and who was responsible, but these people here are blaming Vladimir Putin.
Столько горя, сколько принес Путин украинскому народу, ему украинский народ никогда не простит это. Такого, как он сделал Украине, даже немцы не сделали, понимаешь, во время Второй мировой войны. Сколько сделал горя, принес Путин на нашу землю.
There is surely 200 victims, corpses, remains. There were 295 people on the plane. And they will be found.
You don't know how?
We have to find them. But first, our first goal is the identification of the victims. The trains are loaded with remains of people. They are covered in bags. The identification will take place in Holland. So we have to put the remains in coffins to make them ready for transport.
Are you having any further problems with trying to retrieve any other remains that still might be at the site with regards to working with the pro-Russia separatists?
The first focus is on the remains in the train. That's where our first priority lies at this moment. I know that we do have to go back to sweep the area. It's an enormous area, we all know that. It's more than 40 kilometers in length. I can imagine that it will be a problem, but I don't know exact problem what it will be at this moment. We'll face it at the time when we face it.
This is a factory where they've brought the remains of many of the victims of Flight MH17, which was shot down last week. They're being stored here temporarily before they're going to be shipped to the Netherlands, where they're going to be identified. There are forensic experts here from the Netherlands and from Malaysia, as well as some Ukrainians, and it seems that they can only be certain that about 200 of the bodies have been brought here and handed over from the pro-Russia separatists who collected them and put them on a train and sent them here. But there are still 98 passengers that are unaccounted for. In the meantime, the hostilities in eastern Ukraine haven't stopped. The fighting has only intensified. Yesterday there was heavy fighting in Donetsk, the capital of the Donetsk region. Very heavy fighting, in fact, heavier than it's been for a number of days. But what has happened is the President of the United States has clarified his position on the cause of the accident. He puts the blame on the Russia-backed rebels, says that Russia supplied them with the missiles to shoot down the plane, and has called on President Putin to discontinue any arms supplies and to de-escalate the situation.
Today, your journey home begins. It still will be a long journey. We have a painful identification process to go through that will take time. But the Dutch government wants to assure family members and all those concerned that we want to do the identification as quickly as possible with full respect for human dignity and the individual. We feel that the eyes of the world are upon us to do this right. We want to do the identification process right. We want to return the victims home to their loved ones as quickly as possible. We also have taken it upon ourselves to together with others, to lead the investigation in the causes of the incident and in who is responsible.
This is a tragedy of unspeakable proportions, and on behalf of the Prime Minister of Australia, I express the deepest sympathy of all Australians for the families of those who were lost.
A small ceremony for the victims of MH17 has just taken place. This flight, which arrived here from Holland, is about to take off and take the remains of the victims back to Holland, where they can be further identified. The ambassador of the Netherlands spoke here, and he said that the government of the Netherlands had taken it upon itself to find out exactly who was behind this tragedy. That was only just the first flight of victims' remains to be sent to Holland for further identification. There's a couple of more planes on the tarmac, and they'll be ferrying victims' bodies back to Holland until Friday, which is when they expect the last remains to be sent over. But the question still stands: what's going to happen to the bodies? How are they going to be found, the ones that still remain at the crash site, which is spread over a 12 to 14 kilometer area? It might still be very difficult to find everyone.